Hello everyone, and welcome to Kaplan's Best Practices for your Securities Exam preparation. My name is Adam James, and I became an instructor with Kaplan Financial because I am a Kaplan success story. For over 75 years, Kaplan has remained student-focused, results-driven, and committed to helping individuals achieve their educational and career goals. So how can we use these proven strategies and techniques to help you pass your exam? That's what I'm here to share with you today. I've passed 7 qualifications exams my first time. That's not because of any special ability on my own, but because I was able to structure my studies using Kaplan's materials to their fullest, and using these best practices we're going to talk about today. I'm not alone in this either. Over the last 5 years, over 1.5 million other students have passed their qualifications exams using these same techniques. Your test preparation program needs to include 3 essential parts. The first is to read. Our license exam manual, also called a LEM, contains all the information you need to know to pass your exam. Make sure you have read through everything and gained at least a basic understanding of all the topics before anything else. The second part of your study program is to watch. You need to interact with an instructor. This can be done either in a traditional classroom setting, or you can watch an OnDemand class. Either way, you can always ask questions through the InstructorLink email access. The third, and I think crowning part of the whole strategy, is to do. You have to eventually roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty by doing practice questions. That's where the SecuritiesPro QBank, as well as our practice and mastery exams, come into play. You have to actually get into the QBank and try out as many combinations of questions as possible. I cannot overemphasize the importance of customizing and practicing within the QBank environment. Let's talk about some of the tools that are going to be used in your studies. The first tool to start with is the license exam manual. The LEM has a wealth of information and everything you need to know to pass the exam. When you begin reading the LEM, be sure to start with the introduction. The introduction contains specific information about your series exam, how the LEM is structured, and test-taking tips. The rest of the LEM is laid out by topic in great detail. As a result, the book is rather lengthy. Yet it's well worth your time to carefully read through and gain a strong understanding of the concepts. The challenge with your exam, however, is the application of this information. The SecuritiesPro QBank, as I mentioned, is where you are going to be able to apply the information that you've been learning in a test-like experience. The QBank is available online, so just like the real exam, you have to test yourself on a computer. The QBank is completely customizable, allowing you to build quizzes to test yourself on any concept that you may be having trouble with. Throughout your studies, you should be taking QBank quizzes. For example, after each unit in the LEM, you should take a series of quizzes on the material covered. Periodically, you should also take cumulative quizzes to review all the material you have studied thus far. When taking QBank quizzes, however, don't get stuck reviewing the same material. Even if you're not scoring perfectly, you should continue moving forward with your studies and review any problem areas later. Once you've finished reading the entire LEM, you can take weighted mock exams, which test you on all the material covered with the same weights on each topic as the real test. You also have diagnostic reports. These reports I find are underutilized. Students need to use these to find out, how am I doing in certain areas? Am I improving? Where should I study more? It's a way for you to measure how you're doing on your tests and where you need to focus. Along with quizzes and weighted mock exams, the practice and mastery exams are available. These exams are intended for diagnostic purposes, for you to find out how you would score if you took the test today. I found them to be very representative of what the actual test is. Whenever I've taken a practice exam shortly before an actual test, I found I've always scored within just a few points of what I received on my practice exam. So I find them to be very useful tools in finding out, how am I doing right now? Of course, I don't want to leave out the last tool to round out your test preparation, the InstructorLed Training. This training can be done in several ways. One is for you to come to a class and interact live with an instructor like me. I understand, however, that not everyone is able to take time off work to come into one of our classrooms. So, with that in mind, we've created on-demand courses as well. In our on-demand courses, you can pull up on your computer an instructor who will go through all the same concepts that I would do in a live class, but from the comfort of your own home or office. A nice thing about that is the ability to pause and rewind the instructor's lesson. You may also review the videos as many times as you like, so if a topic is especially challenging, you can watch the video until it makes sense to you. As you get closer to the test date, it'll be time for you to start taking the practice and mastery exams. Now, I mentioned to you before that these are used for evaluating yourself to find out how you'd do if you took the test today. As an evaluation tool, they're only effective when you've never seen the questions before. For that reason, the practice and mastery exams are only available one time and are weighted just like your real exam. The practice and mastery exams will also not provide any rationales. They are a comprehensive diagnostic tool to determine how prepared you are to take your actual exam. Now, as you go through your studies, it's important for you to take the practice exam prior to going to any class, whether it be live or on demand. This will allow you to know when you go into class what you need to pay special attention to, because you'll know where your strengths and your weaknesses are. So now we've gone through the 3 stages of your exam preparation. First, you read. You carefully read through the whole LEM. Second, you attend a live or on-demand class and review everything you've learned. Third, you've completed hours of SecuritiesPro QBank questions throughout the whole process. Now you're finished with your studies and you're sitting down in the testing center to take the real exam. There are a few tips I want to mention to you that I have found to be very useful in my own experience and that of my students. The first piece of advice sounds simple, but it's important that we remember to read the full question. Some of these questions are lengthy, and it's going to be daunting even looking at them. There will be information that you don't need in those questions. It's important for you to identify what is being asked, and then pull out only the needed information. My second piece of advice is to watch out for hedge clauses. It's essential to read them carefully to ensure that you're answering the right question. There's one in particular that students hate and test writers love. It's the except question, where the question says, all the following are true except. In the case of an except question, approach it as 4 true or false statements to easily identify the correct answer. To answer the extensive bank of true and false statements, you'll need to memorize key points and their details prior to your exam. When you've memorized those points, you can use them as a process, as a springboard to go in and answer similar questions. When you go into the testing center, there's going to be a calculator provided for you. It's very basic. It can only add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Use it. I'm pretty good with math, but if I was given a question that ultimately asked, what's 1 plus 5? When I was taking the test, I would write down 1 plus 5 on my scratch paper and solve it using the calculator. Test day is always stressful. Don't make any careless mistakes. Even the simplest math mistake can be made under stress that then can cost you points. My last piece of advice is to be cautious of changing your answers. Too often, students second-guess themselves. Unless you're absolutely sure the answer you gave was wrong, trust your gut and go with your first choice. If you follow the advice that I've given you today, you will be on the fast track to success on your exam. Remember, follow the 3 steps of study: read, watch, do. As a student and an instructor, it's been my pleasure to share these best practices with you, and on behalf of everyone at Kaplan Financial, we wish you the very best of luck.
To review pre-recorded best practices webinars in their entirety and to hear testimonials from real Kaplan students, visit the Kaplan Financial YouTube channel, youtube.com/KaplanFinancialEDU.